and then you will get this answer that I am a soul, a conscient point of light which is present in between the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. So there is a hypothalamus and pituitary gland in the center of your forehead, and when you go deep within, you will find a conscient point of light. A lot of names are there that we call for the soul. It's called spirit sometimes, it's called Atma, it's called a being, the being, and then it's called the spirit, and then it's called consciousness. So there are many things that we talk when we talk about soul. There are many names that people have given to soul. So what exactly is soul? So when self-realization course, the more deep we go into this course, we will be talking about the soul, the consciousness, the being of light, the Jyoti, the Prakash, that this is the missing part, the missing identity. And the more we go and the more depth we have of the soul, the more knowledge we have of the soul, the better our life will become. Now we are going to see that what exactly the soul and body looks like. What is the relation between the soul and the body? And as we go deeper into the knowledge and what we have listened till now in the rest of the world, people have identified soul as something else. For example, the moment we grow, we are never told that what is the difference between I and my. There was no one who could have actually told us the difference, that who is I and who is my. So what is me and what is mine? Mera or main. So there is a difference between I and my. So the difference exactly is who am I and what is mine. So the thing is, I is the soul part and mine is the body part. The relation between soul and body can be categorized or can be said is similar to just like a pearl and a shell. You see a pearl inside a shell, and when you take the pearl out of the shell, it is just the shell and there is no value of the shell. You discard the shell once you take the pearl out of it. Similarly, the soul is just like a pearl in this shell. The body is like a shell. And then there are other things that we can identify soul and body with. It is just like the driver and the car. Such a beautiful thing, isn't it? The car is just stand still if there is no driver in it. But when the driver is there inside, and when the car is being driven by the driver, you see the things are moving. Similarly, the body is like a car and the soul is like a driver. And there is a particular seat of the driver in the car. This driver can't sit at the back side and drive the car. Definitely the driver needs all the controls of the car. So wherever the controls are, the driver has to sit at that place. In the same manner, we see the body and the soul. So soul has to have a proper place to sit in this car so that it can drive this body. We will be seeing later on that where exactly the position of the soul is in this body. Next, we have another metaphor for the soul and body. It is the house and the owner. For example, as you see, when there is a house, we call it a ghar, a house, and then there is an owner in it and someone resides in the house, then it is called a house, a place of living. If there is no owner in the house, if no one resides in the house is just vacant. It's of no use, definitely. Similarly, the whole body is just like a house, and what soul obviously is the owner of this house. Then we have other things like the chariot and the charioteer. What is the chariot? In Hindi we call it the rath, the chariot, which is being driven by a charioteer. So the soul definitely again is the charioteer and it is driving this chariot. And the chariot sometimes may have a lot of horses in it. We might have seen a chariot where there are 5 horses. So we can say those 5 horses which are driving the chariot are the 5 senses of this body. The 5 senses that we'll be seeing later on. The another metaphor for soul and body is the king and the kingdom. The soul is like a king in the body, and whole of this body is like the kingdom of the soul. Similarly, because the king and the kingdom is always run, and there is something in the mid that we call the ministers. There is the king, the ministers, and the kingdom. So soul is the king. The five senses of this body are the ministers of this kingdom, and the whole of the body is like a kingdom. It's like a dynasty of the soul, of the king. And the king has to be the perfect one, the perfect decision maker, so that it can uplift the kingdom as a whole. Then the another soul body metaphor is just like mobile and the SIM, and such a common thing to see. We all have got mobile phones and SIM card, so we know that a mobile phone is useless without a SIM card, and SIM card is such a small thing in a mobile, and but so powerful. Similarly, we see the soul is a very minute, a very powerful being in the body, very small, a very tiny point of light which resides in the body, and it is just like a SIM card in this body, which you may call like a mobile phone. Then we have another example. It is the programmer and the robot. It's a beautiful example, you see. Programmer and a robot. You see, there is a programmer who's coding and writing a program, and that program is being executed by the computer that we call the central processing unit, or the brain of the robot. And when that program is executed, the instructions goes to the robot, and through the mechanical, and all the mechanical part is being done by the robot. The hands move, the robot, the legs move, and we see the whole robot moving, the whole robot going here and there and doing a lot of things, but the control is with the programmer. So as the programmer writes the program, in the same way the robot does things. So these are such beautiful examples, the combination of the soul and body. The soul is also just like a programmer. Whatever program, whatever instructions the soul as a programmer gives to the body, the whole of those instructions are being understood by our brain. So this brain is just like the central processing unit of the whole body. And this brain, it executes those instructions given by the soul, and the nervous system carries those messages to the whole body. And that's how our hands move, our legs move, and the whole body performs all the actions. And we have got lot of parts in the body who are working to that the whole thing is working. There is a heart, there is a kidney, there is a stomach. So there are a lot of parts in this body which are working properly to execute it properly. The soul is the soul is the programmer who's giving all those instructions to the body. The whole control is with the programmer, which we can say is the soul.